everybody, welcome back to my channel. Sienna here with a brand new video. Today we are going to go over 4 common myths about psychics, and we are going to be debunking these myths, and we're going to be having so much fun doing this, so stay tuned. Alright, so myth number 1 is that all psychics are just born with their abilities and have been using them since day 1. And that is not true. Not everyone who uses psychic abilities has been doing so since birth. Some have, as there always seem to be exceptions to every rule, but I really don't think it's all that common. Children often do have their third eye and crown chakras open, but as we age, sometimes we forget about this special connection. And then other filters, as we learn other people's opinions and we're taught other people's versions of right and wrong, other filters begin to overlay on our perception. Some people grow up in households where things like magic and psychic development and divination are ridiculed or just forbidden outright. So as a result, many psychics actually realize and start working with their abilities much later in life, into adulthood. For example, me, I didn't start developing as a psychic until I was 22 years old. Some people's life path simply involves them learning and experiencing other things before becoming psychic. So if you haven't been using your clairvoyance or your clairaudience or your empathic abilities ever since your early childhood, don't worry about it. Myth number 2 is that any psychic can look at you and just immediately know everything about you in an instant. That's not true. I used to worry about this one, and I laugh now because it is just simply not true. Maybe some people can, again, because there always have to be some exceptions to every rule. There's always going to be somebody who is this unique snowflake that stands out, right? But even if it is true, it's probably so unlikely that they would know everything about you. A psychic can get all kinds of intuitive hits, or bits of information or sensations, physical or emotional or otherwise, from spirit about a person that they are talking to or hanging out with, but they won't get everything. You are entitled to your privacy, and the spirit realm knows this. So if there's something you really, really don't want to share about yourself, or something you're just not ready to open up about or talk about, your guides can keep this hidden from a psychic's perception. Now, the psychic might pick up what you're feeling around like this thing that you're trying to keep hidden, but they won't know the details unless you actually open up and talk about it yourself. And I think, well, I'd like to think that most people are good. Any ethical psychic worth going to would really not care to know everything about you. And I don't mean that in a rude way. I just mean that in a minding one's own business way. And on top of that, psychics aren't even on all the time either. They're not always using their abilities 24/7. So no, don't worry about that. I'm not gonna see you walking down the street and look at you and know all of your darkest thoughts and all of your secrets and all of your things that you're trying to keep hidden. No. It's none of my business. The spirit realm's not gonna give it to me. And this actually, brings us to our next point when I mentioned that psychics are not on all the time. Myth number 3 is that we are on all the time and are always receiving messages and just constantly working and just constantly plugged in. Okay, well, this one is kind of true, but not really. We're gonna say this one is kind of true. Okay. Now, some people, this is what makes it kind of true, and that is that some people especially those who are new to the psychic practice, struggle with feeling overwhelmed by energetic stimuli. The chakras are open, the third eye is open, the crown chakra's open. They're just getting in all of this information, all of the stuff that's coming in from the energy around them, from all the people around them. And it is actually really, really hard when you're first tuning into this stuff to shut it off. However, there are ways to protect yourself from this overwhelm. I like to compare it to turning down the volume on a radio that you cannot turn off. Okay, we're all connected to the divine. We're all connected to spirit, to this universe. Therefore, we all have the innate ability to receive psychic messages and intuitive hits. And that's why I say it's like a radio you can't turn off. You can't just disconnect yourself from spirit. It really doesn't work that way. But what you can do is choose when you want to listen. And that's where the turning the volume down comes in. You've got to set the intention to have some quiet time in your mind after practicing psychic or spiritual work. Now, I do plan on making a video about this that goes into more detail, but we'll just sort of quickly go over ways to set this intention. Okay, so some people like to visualize shutting off a light switch, or like I said earlier, turning the radio down. One neat way that you can set this intention is, well, the visualizations, like I just said here, or you can light a candle and immediately blow it out to symbolize all done. Just, it's not burning anymore. I don't have my powers like on anymore, whatever. If you can't actually burn a candle, just visualize blowing out a lit candle. It's really not that hard. You could also say to the universe / spirit realm, you can do this in your mind or out loud. Some people find it more effective if you do it out loud. You can say, I'm done working right now. I cut off all energetic ties that don't need to be here. Some people like to do this little motion that I'm doing here, this karate chop looking thing. I was taught to do that during my Reiki training, and it just stuck. It just symbolizes you're disconnecting yourself from certain energies. And like most people after work, there are psychics who don't want to still be on when they're not actively working. And they enjoy other hobbies just like everyone else. There are always things that you can do to sort of keep your mind occupied on other things when you really don't have to be taking in messages from loved ones in spirit, or you're just not really working at the moment. You're just trying to rest. There are ways you can distract yourself. You can watch TV, you can play video games, you can go out for walks, you can exercise, you can do some art, you can read. There's so many different things you can do to keep your mind occupied when you do not want to work with with energy or with the psychic realm. So there are some ways to ensure that you're not just constantly being bombarded with messages and intuitions, because that gets exhausting. It really does. So that's why that's only kind of true that psychics are on all the time. The last myth that we're going to talk about today is that psychics know everything, so they must be easily able to figure out their lives. Haha, that's not true. Sometimes I wish this were true, but it simply isn't. Psychics don't know. We don't know everything. Not everything. And we just went over that a couple of points ago. Some things are not our business, so the spirit realm doesn't even bother to tell us unless the client is willing to talk about it. We can't predict the future set in stone 100%. I can't tell you exactly to a T how your life is going to look 6 months, 1 year, 2 years from now. What I could do is, based on where you're at right now in life and the energies around you right now, the most likely path that you could take for your future, things that could come up in the future, most likely, but it doesn't mean they will 100% with that exact accuracy happen. Psychics also, we don't know the winning lottery numbers. We don't. If we did, that would be nice. I would probably not be living in an apartment. But it just doesn't work that way. There are some things in life that we have to experience, some things that we need to learn for ourselves, and psychic people are no exception. That means we don't get to know when certain things are about to happen. For example, there's some events that we can't prevent them, and we can't even try to prevent them. Some things we just have to experience, and knowing beforehand might actually throw off our learning process. We might try and prevent something that can't be prevented, for example. It's not to say, though, that psychics don't read on themselves or get help through life, because we do. Or we get our other friends, our psychic friends, to do readings and stuff for us once in a while. Having a connection to the spirit realm will help with many aspects of your life, but it's not some easy shortcut to knowing everything, having an easy life, and, you know, not having worries ever again. It's not a shortcut to easy happiness or easy wealth or easy success. It's just not a shortcut. And those are 4 myths that we went over regarding psychics. How many of these have you heard, or how many misconceptions have you had regarding psychics? Let me and others know in the comments. I would love to know what you guys think. If you want a part 2 to this video, let me know, because there are so many other things that I used to think regarding psychics, or I used to worry about regarding psychics, that ended up being completely different than I thought. Remember to like and subscribe to Sienna Rose Metaphysical if you really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again.